Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to Growing Through It, a podcast dedicated to bringing you clarity so that you can harness your curiosity and be the creator of your life. Hosted by me, Shanae Rowe. Good morning, beautiful people. I'm so excited to have you here back on the podcast, ready for another episode. This is number 22, and it is called Transforming Boredom into an Endless Stream of Innovation. And yeah, it's all about how we can navigate being bored and how we can use our boredom to inspire our creativity in a positive way, as opposed to, being stuck on the couch, watching TV or doom scrolling in bed and just like feeling kind of lousy about ourselves. So yeah, this is what this episode is for. To be completely honest, I have been kind of going through the motions lately over the last not even week. I've just been dealing with a lot of big emotions, really sad times, but really, really, really beautiful and transformative time for me. And I honestly did not want to create an episode this week. I was like, I'm too sad. I don't want to do it. But yeah, I was like, no, this is what I enjoy doing, so I'm going to give it a go. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with the path that this episode led me down. So I am very confident that someone out there is going to find some very beautiful wisdom in these words. So let's dive in and enjoy the episode, guys. Alrighty, so first up, let's talk boredom. What is it? And we all know what it is. We've all felt boredom before. Like, how many times have you guys been at home? It's the weekend, you haven't got any plans with friends, you're just sitting at home. You don't know what to do. You're walking aimlessly around the house. Maybe you go and look in the fridge, see what's in there, see what you can snack on. Go back to the couch, put a show on. That's not really interesting you. Go back to the fridge, see what's in the fridge. Oh, there's still no food in there. There's no little cheeky snacks. It's all, ingredients in there. You don't want to make anything. So you go back to the couch, you keep watching your show that isn't really that interesting. You pull out your phone, you have a scroll on Instagram, see what other people are doing on their weekend. Maybe feel bad about yourself. Instagram isn't that interesting anymore. Pull up TikTok, have a look on there, have a scroll, and before you know it, your whole day has gone by and you haven't achieved anything. You feel bad about yourself because you have just done nothing productive. You haven't felt any sort of connection or fulfillment with your day, and you just left feeling like, what a waste of my time and my energy and my day and my weekend. That's boredom. We all know it. It's kind of this restlessness through lack of interest, like nothing seems to be getting our creativity and our curiosity firing. Like nothing that we're doing is making us interested. Some people describe it as like a desire for desires. Like you're not doing anything, but you want to be doing something, but you don't want to put in the effort to actually go and do anything. I think as well, boredom is this failing to find meaning. Like with anything that we're doing, with the tasks that we're doing, we feel like there is no meaning in it. There is no purpose behind it. And so our brains are just kind of like, well, it's not fulfilling. It's not doing it for me. So in saying that, like we can really understand that boredom is such a common human experience. It's something that everyone can relate to. Everyone knows the feeling of being bored. Like it's boring, it sucks, it's uncomfortable. It's like you want to be doing something but you're not doing anything, and then you feel bad, and there's all these emotions that come up because you just want to be getting creative, or you want to be going out on a hike, and all these things are stopping you, whether they're physical or whether they're mental. And it's just this state of mind. It's like this limbo of feeling unfulfilled and just like really restless, and it can lead to us just like feeling down and throwing away a day and feeling bad about throwing away a day. And I think because boredom does have all these like sort of negative kind of emotions, like being bored isn't fun. So it can be hard to sort of see that boredom can be a good thing, but I think there are lots of really beautiful things that can come out of being bored, being, having nothing to do. And and I only think that that's possible when we give ourselves the space and the stillness to use our boredom as a way to tap into ourselves. As much as being bored is uncomfortable, when we let ourselves confront our discomfort about not having anything to do and wanting something to do, then we're able to discover lots of things about ourselves. And I think one of those things is creativity. When we're bored, we are more motivated to get creative. We have all of these ideas and things that we want to go and make. Things like little activities, knitting and surfing, picking up hobbies, and lots of passions and activities and hobbies. And I think boredom really encourages us to act on things in our lives, because it's such an uncomfortable place to be. We need to find a solution to that discomfort. And the easiest way to do that is to be creative, to go and pick up a hobby, to learn how to crochet, to figure out how to sew, figure out how to knit some beanies. I've got a friend at work who knits beanies. She brings her little knitting needles into work. She's awesome. But I think it's because of boredom that we're able to realize that the only way to get out of being bored is to get creative, to find a hobby, to put our physical sort of bodies to use, which is always great because in doing that, we're developing our skills. So many positive things come out of having skills. You can help people, you can give things to people when they're in need, and that's really beautiful, like that act of service when we learn new skills, when we develop these hobbies and get good at them, then we're providing a service to people in need. And that's so fulfilling. That's really rewarding. And, to think that all that has come out of getting bored and then allowing that boredom to take us to really creative and innovative places. Another way that boredom is super good for us is it builds our self-awareness. When we just slow down and we actually embrace that all the discomfort of being bored, of having nothing to do, you realize that there's a heck of a lot of thoughts running through your mind, about yourself, about the world, about your perceptions of people, about what you think of other people, and about yourself. And in slowing down enough to actually pay attention to those things, you're able to learn about the stories that you're telling yourself and the mindset that you're in, and you're able to build that you're able to build space between you and your thoughts and you and your feelings, which creates that awareness of yourself, of who you are. And then, like, moving on from that, when we are able to develop that self-awareness, to know ourselves more, then we're able to move then we're able to think of goals and purposes and things to do in our actual everyday lives that are more aligned to us. Like, we're not just sort of moving through the motions of everyday living and following the crowd. Like, when we let our boredom take us to places of self-awareness, we're able to really hone in on what we deserve and what we want and what our purpose in this world is, and then align to that and create things from that. It's a really beautiful space to be in when you're not afraid of all the ickiness of feeling bored, and you're not resisting the discomfort of boredom, and you actually let it take you to a place of self-realization and understanding and awareness, to then take you to realizations about who you are and what you want and what your mission in this life is. It's really magical, and that is the power of being bored. When you're not running from discomfort, when you're sitting in, you resist picking up your phone. When you have that urge to pick up your phone and doom scroll because you don't know what else to do and you don't want to feel bored, like, when you resist that and actually take that time to think, like, no, why am I doing this? What purpose is it serving? What can I do instead that is going to help me realize my goals and realize what I want, like that's really rewarding, and it's harder, it takes more effort and it takes more self-control, but it leads you to a more beautiful place. Another really wonderful thing that comes out of giving ourselves permission to be bored is we can problem solve. I think boredom elicits this response from us to need to be doing something all the time, and we have, and as well, like society puts all that pressure on us too, but when we actually take the time to observe our boredom and be like, hey, I actually don't need to go and do something right now. I can actually just sit and feel what's going on. We come into this more relaxed state of being. We move away from the busyness of the world, from, all the pressure to be doing something, all the pressure to be, go, go, go. You've got to hang out with friends. You've got to, have a business. You've got to work. You've got to be active. You've got to do all of these things. When we move away from that, we slow down and we're able to relax. And from that place of being relaxed, we're able to find solutions to problems in our lives, why we're feeling dissatisfied with our job, or, how do we make this idea we've got a physical thing? How do we turn all of our ideas into a business? When we actually give ourselves the time to be bored and slow our thoughts down enough to relax and step away from all the hustle craziness of needing to be doing something, that's where we can find the answers to those questions. Like, you can't find solutions to any problem in your life ever if you don't let yourself be bored. You are never going to be able to find solutions if your response to being bored is picking up your phone or turning the TV on or vaping or doing, something that distracts you from the feeling of discomfort from having nothing to do. And then as well, like all of that, what I've just been saying is creating better mental health for us. Boredom allows us, when we do it right, when we slow down, when we create space within our internal world, our mental health skyrockets. How can it not, when we're focusing on ourselves, when we're understanding our thoughts and our feelings, and when we're problem solving big things that are going on in our lives? How can our mental health not improve when we're taking the time to actually notice our thoughts and our mental state? And when we've got hobbies and when we've got things to do, when we're being creative, when we feel like we have a purpose and we're working towards our goals, that makes us feel fulfilled. That makes our mental health skyrocket. That is what makes us feel good about being alive, of having this human experience. So there are so many wonderful things that come out of boredom, and I think sometimes we forget that being bored is actually a really, truly remarkable thing, because initially what boredom does is make us feel uncomfortable. It makes us not want to feel it. Because one, we've been conditioned to feel like we have to be doing something all the time. Two, we've been taught that our feelings around not doing anything is wrong, like lazy. Being bored is lazy, when in fact it is not. And three, like, we just don't want to deal with being uncomfortable. We don't want to deal with our thoughts, because sometimes our thoughts and our feelings are negative, and if we don't allow ourselves to be bored, we'll never have to address that, and it's easier not to do the hard thing and just like distract ourselves and be numb and unconscious, than it is to knuckle down through the boredom. Boredom's sort of like the gateway into all the self-realization and creativity and passion and purpose, but that's the hard route. And, humans don't like doing hard things. But yeah, it is beautiful when you allow yourself to be bored. Wonderful, wonderful things come out of it. On the other hand, the bad. When can boredom be a bad thing? And obviously, like, I use that term very loosely. Like, nothing is bad, it's all an experience. But I briefly touched on it before, of what happens when we don't use boredom effectively. And I think that happens when we avoid the emotions that boredom creates. All that discomfort, all the feelings of laziness, of incompetence, of not knowing what we're doing, of feeling like you're not contributing to society, you're not contributing to yourself. Like, they're pretty hard hitting emotions that is because of feeling bored. They come up when you feel bored. You want to feel like you have a purpose in your life. You want goals to work towards. You want to be able to solve the problems in your life. And, have hobbies and have fun things to do on weekends with friends and things like that. And when you're bored, it's basically a slap in the face telling you, like, you don't have that, you know? And it's kind of hard to face that reality. And so I think when we try to run from those realizations and the pain and discomfort that boredom presents to us, things can happen internally. Like, we have low motivation and our productivity drops. If we're struggling to move through that feeling that we don't have a purpose, or that, we don't have any cool hobbies or anything like that to do, it can be really hard to then find the motivation to go and do those things. And so we don't do them because we feel like a failure, because we're clearly bored, because our thought is we're bored because we're not a good enough human. There's sort of this all this negativity around boredom, which then spirals us into not wanting to act on it. So we don't. And then, because we're not acting on our boredom, our mental health decreases. It's the exact opposite of what I was saying before. Like, when you're using boredom in a positive way to enhance your creativity and find purpose and meaning, when you don't use your boredom as fuel for your creativity, as fuel to get to know yourself more, you feel like you're lacking something in your life. You feel like you don't have this bigger sense of purpose, or that there's no meaning. And that feeling eats you up. And that is what causes you to feel bad, like lower self-esteem, lower mental health, anxiety, you feel insecure, all these things because you don't know how to address the boredom that you're feeling. You don't know what to do with it. And then obviously, like, external things that come from being bored are things like doom scrolling and, substance abuse, drugs. I actually, funnily enough, I found a video. Well, I stumbled upon a video the other day when I was indeed doom scrolling on TikTok. But it was a really interesting TED Talk. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you will know that I'm frothing TED Talks at the moment. Like, I am watching those, like, I'm churning through TED Talks. I love them. But yeah, so this TikTok that I found actually is a TED Talk. So I went and found the TED Talk, and it was so interesting. It was Johan Hari giving a talk about addiction and drug abuse, drug addiction, and how we've got it all wrong, and that it is actually environment and a sense of connection that is the driver of addiction. It's not actually. There's a study involving rats and Rat Park, and it's basically you put a rat in a cage, you give it 2 water bottles, okay? One is plain water and one is water laced with was it cocaine or something, like a drug, a heavy drug. No, it was heroin. And without fail, 100% of the time, they found that the rat drinks the water that has the heroin in it. And he was like, yeah, it makes sense, whatever. And then apparently in this study, the guy conducting it was like, hang on a minute, like, obviously the rat is going to drink the water that has heroin in it. Like, what else is he going to do? He's locked in a cage. So they created this park for these rats, like still in a cage, but they created like wheels and stuff they could run on, all these cool things. They put more rats in there so that the rats could socialize and things. And then they still had the water bottles, one with water, one water laced with heroin. And they found that none of the rats touched the water, drank the water that had the heroin in it, which is crazy. And yeah, so from that, they concluded that, it is all about connection and environment. And I found this so interesting. And I'll link the TED Talk as well because he talks about some really powerful things in this TED Talk. It's only like 15 minutes. So yeah, I'll pop it in the description of this episode. Go and watch it. But yeah, just from watching that, I had this realization that, environment and connection is heavily related to boredom. When you're bored, your autopilot thing to do is reach for something that is going to take away that boredom. And that can be your phone, that can be putting on a silly little TV series, that can be drugs, alcohol, anything. Like when we're bored, sometimes it gets to a point where we don't want to address what our boredom is making us feel so much that we will turn to instant gratification and things that provide us some sense of relief, of connection, of, entertainment. And those things sometimes can be really, really bad for us. But yeah, like when you bring boredom back to that, what is boredom? It's this need to find meaning but failing to find it and having a desire to be doing something that's fulfilling to us. That is related to connection, that is related to environment. So yeah, I thought that was super duper interesting, and yeah, highly recommend giving that one a watch. But yeah, then another thing from boredom when we don't utilize the power of it well is doom scrolling. And all of us, you guys listening, how easy it is to pick up your phone and to be on TikTok for embarrassingly like hours, or Instagram for hours. Like, don't even tell me that you haven't done it before. It's just like, it's so normal to do because it's easy. It's there. We have a phone. It is so much easier to pick up your phone when you're bored and scroll watching like crap that you don't even retain than it is to like make the effort to go on a hike or to meet up with friends or to pick up a new hobby. Because learning things are hard. Developing a skill is so much harder than picking up your phone and consuming information that half the time is just like silliness or not even true or just people complaining about their lives. Like, we're addicted to it. And it's so easy because the access to it is so easy. But like, what is it doing for you? What is picking up your phone doing for you? How is it serving you? Is it actually adding value to your life? Are you feeling fulfilled afterwards? Do you feel more of a sense of connection to the world around you? Do you feel fulfilled? Are you still restless? Are you still like on TikTok and then you get up and you walk to the fridge and you're like, oh, there's no food there. Open the pantry. Oh, there's no food there. Or maybe there is and you're just going to snack on it. Like, does doom scrolling actually cure your boredom or does it fuel it? Does it make you feel satisfied with your life or does it make you feel dissatisfied with yourself? And that's the thing that you have to think about when you are hit with like this wave of boredom. Like, you can do the easy thing that's probably not going to make you feel good, or you can do the hard thing. You can slow down, you can get creative, you can pick up a hobby, you can journal, you can find, something that aligns with you. You can give yourself the time to have these realizations and epiphanies about yourself and the world that develops you as a human. It's harder, but is it more rewarding? I think you know the answer to it. So, in saying all of this, right, how boredom can be a positive thing and how boredom can really bring out some kind of scary and negative things in us and in society. Like, how do we use boredom for good? How do we create something meaningful and something beneficial out of being bored. It's a fundamental human emotion and experience. How do we utilize that to better ourselves? Um, and I think something that a lot of us can relate to is like COVID. And we were caged up like those rats, honestly. We were locked up in our houses. We weren't allowed to do anything. We weren't allowed to see people. And there were some really amazing things that came out of COVID because of people getting bored, okay? And there were some really, not great things, but so many people that I know who have started businesses created those businesses during COVID, or they at least had the idea to start that business during COVID, because they utilized their boredom and their lack of meaning and their need to be doing something purposeful. They utilize that to create something, right? To create something that aligned with them, that was going to serve them, serve others, serve their life trajectory, So many beautiful, inspiring women, especially I know, have created businesses, and it is, the result of COVID. And as well, like, I'm sorry if it's traumatizing, but like think back to COVID for you. Like, what was your experience like? Because I know for me, I was living at home, and you weren't allowed to do anything, or you'd get in trouble. You weren't allowed to, go 5Ks from your house or whatever. And so you had to come up with things to entertain yourself that maybe you wouldn't normally. If you wanted to feel good, like obviously you could pick up your phone, but I feel like a lot of us did that enough times that we actually felt miserable about ourselves, that we were like, no, I actually need to like go and do something active or pick up a hobby, because like this is ridiculous. I would go for bike rides with my brother. I would go fishing. I journaled a lot. I did um, lots of writing, and you know, went down that sort of route, which was amazing. Picked up a couple hobbies, did boxing and that kind of stuff. Like, what was COVID like for you? How did you use that boredom? Because it was so potent during COVID, because like there was really nothing else for us to do. How did you, yeah, use that boredom? And then think about how you can um, integrate those things into your life now as a way to allow boredom to transform you. Um, but yeah, I have a couple things that I have jotted down about kind of ways that I move through getting bored. And the first one is to accept the discomfort. Boredom is a normal experience. And so the emotions that boredom creates are normal. Okay. And it's nothing to run away from. It's nothing to hide from. It's nothing to try and push back down and not feel. The only way through your boredom is through your emotions. And the only way to do that is to actually unpack them, to understand them, to sit down with yourself and realize what's going on in your mind and in your body. So you have to accept the uncomfiness of not having anything to do. Journal is a good one to do. Talking out loud, talk to yourself, talk to someone else, bring that connection back into your life. Do things with other people, but talk it out and trust that what you're feeling is all perfectly normal. It is perfectly okay, and you are safe, and you don't have to run from it. You don't have to avoid all the emotions that are coming up in that period of, being bored by distracting yourself. You don't have to go on your phone. You don't have to sit there and feel bad about yourself. You don't have to go and do things that aren't helping you, even though it feels good, because you don't have to sit with your thoughts. You don't actually have to try and distract yourself. You can give yourself the permission to feel how you're feeling, and then allow yourself to really be present in whatever arises. The second thing that I do when I'm bored is get curious. Why are you feeling bored? What is it? Are you bored while you're actually doing an activity, or are you bored on the weekend because you're alone and you don't have plans? Get curious about where your boredom comes from. Get curious about the thoughts that you're telling yourself about why you're bored. Get curious about how you're going to solve your boredom. There are so many things that you can do, so many questions that you can ask yourself. How does being bored feel? Write it down. Talk to someone about it. Why are you bored in the first place? Are you is your brain like ticking too much, and something that you're doing isn't actually interesting you, or it's not stimulating enough, or are you bored because it's Saturday and you have no plans and you kind of feel bad about having no plans, and like, why are you bored? What is it? What's the actual like driving factor behind this boredom that you're feeling and experiencing right now? What is it? Get curious about it. And then get creative. Turn your curiosity into innovation, right? Understand where your boredom comes from, why you're feeling it, what voices, who the voices are behind your thoughts that you're feeling while you're bored, and turn that into something creative. Get imaginative, whether that is, self-reflection. Do a lot of work on yourself. You can journal, you can meditate, you can do all these things that help you tap into that part of your brain where you understand yourself a little bit more. You can turn that curiosity into picking up a hobby. Get creative in that aspect of a hobby or a sport or any sort of thing, like a passion. You can go and volunteer. If you're bored because you feel like you're lacking connection with people, go and volunteer at a homeless shelter. Go and volunteer giving food to people. Just go and do something that solves the deeper feeling behind your boredom. If you feel bad that you don't have any cool hobbies or skills, go literally Google something that you can do. Go and knit. Go and learn how to surf. Go and skateboard. Um, Figure out how to start a business. Like, there are so many things that you can do when you unpack your boredom, when you're curious about why you're feeling it, and then just like go all in and turn it into something fucking awesome. Like, turn the boredom into art. You can literally turn every emotion that you feel into art. Like, I swear to God. But yeah, create something physical out of an emotional experience that you're having. Or you could do a reset. You could declutter. You could sell all of your belongings, like clear your physical space to clear your mind so that you can start from scratch, so that you can be like, what hobbies you even want, how you want your life to look, what you want to do with yourself, what passions you have, what your purpose is, what goals you want to fulfill in your life. Like, reset, declutter your mind, declutter your physical space, and see what comes of that. Being bored doesn't have to be a bad thing, and it isn't a bad thing when we know what to do with it. And like, I so understand, especially for people our age, it's so much easier, and it takes up so much less thought and energy to do something easy, to go on our phone, to doom scroll, to, take drugs, to feel some kind of satisfaction in the moment. But it is so much more rewarding to actually unpack why you feel bored, why you feel dissatisfied, why you're failing to find meaning, why you're searching for some kind of desire, right? When you unpack that, you're able to learn about yourself more. You're able to know yourself and what you want, and connect with what you want, connect with people. And it's a beautiful thing that comes from being bored. When you just slow down, give yourself space, give yourself stillness, meditate on your boredom, dissect all the dysfunctional beliefs that you have around being bored, about, why you feel like it's lazy to be bored, or that you have to feel like you're doing something all of the time. Like, unpack it all. Figure it all out. Figure that shit out inside your head and see what magic is created. See what magic you create from it. Go and be bored. let yourself feel it. Oh my gosh, I love you. And I hope that you guys have really enjoyed this episode. That's all I've got for you today. Join me next week for another one. And yeah, if you've liked this, give my podcast a rating. Share it with some friends, share it with people that you care about. Go and listen to that TED Talk as well. Go and listen to lots of TED Talks. You will not be disappointed. They are life-changing. Just like broaden your perspective and broaden your horizons, my darlings. But yeah, that is all from me today. The world is waiting for you, so get on out there and enjoy your big, beautiful life. Bye.